Hello everyone and welcome to How-FixIT. If your DJI Mini 5 Pro has fallen and now the gimbal feels loose, one of the mounts has popped out of the frame, or the rubber dampers are torn, don't worry. In this video, I'll show you how to replace the dampers, fix the gimbal mount, and install everything back correctly to complete the repair. To repair the DJI Mini 5 Pro, you'll need a precision screwdriver set, and for safe disassembly, plastic pry tools and tweezers. For reassembly, I recommend using electronics-grade silicone or a hot glue gun. I've included links to the tools, electronics-grade silicone, and replacement parts in the video description below. I also recommend using a magnetic mat to organize all screws and parts during the repair process. The DJI Mini 5 Pro uses many small screws of different sizes, and keeping each screw in the correct location will make reassembly much easier. A magnetic mat also helps hold small metal parts in place and reduces the risk of losing screws or making assembly mistakes. So, let's get started. Before starting the disassembly, make sure the drone is completely powered off and remove the battery. The first step is to remove the upper body cover. You need to remove the 4 screws that hold the top cover in place. 2 of the screws are hidden under stickers, so peel off the stickers and remove the screws underneath. The other 2 screws are located behind the camera gimbal. Now you can begin opening the drone's top cover. Start from the rear side where the charging port is located. I recommend using a plastic spudger to create the first gap. If you use a metal tool, be very careful not to damage or crack the housing. When opening the upper cover, be careful and do not pull it away too quickly. The upper shell has an antenna connection, and lifting the cover too aggressively may damage the antenna cable or connector. The antenna cable is additionally secured to the connector with UV cured adhesive. This adhesive is quite strong, but it can be softened with gentle heat. If you don't have a hot air station, you can use a hair dryer. Just avoid overheating the plastic parts, because they can deform. Now you can remove and replace the upper cover. Next, I'll disconnect the gimbal signal cable and remove the bottom cover so I can take out the gimbal camera assembly. First, heat and peel off the black protective film. Loosen the screw and remove the metal bracket, then disconnect the gimbal signal cable from the drone's main board. Remove the 2 screws securing the upper front sensor module. Lift the module slightly, but do not remove it completely from the drone frame yet, because it is still connected by ribbon cables. I did not disconnect the ribbon cables from this module because it is not necessary for removing the gimbal camera assembly. However, one of these cables is very thin, so if you are not confident that you can lift the module safely with the cable still connected, disconnect the cable first. The gimbal signal cable is also secured to the body with adhesive. Heat the adhesive carefully and release the cable from the frame. Remove the 2 screws securing the upper gimbal camera mounts to the drone frame. Now the gimbal cable and upper mounts are free. We can move to the bottom side of the drone body to access the lower gimbal mounts. You can place the front vision sensor module back into the drone body and loosely cover the top opening, but do not snap the top cover into place. Remove the 2 screws and take off the lower cover of the drone body. After removing the bottom cover, we gain access to the lower gimbal mounts. Remove the rubber dampers from the middle frame. Now you can remove the complete gimbal camera assembly from the drone body. If the gimbal bracket is stuck and does not come out of the frame, gently press on the side of the bracket to release it. Now, remove the rubber dampers from the gimbal assembly. These rubber dampers work as shock absorbers between the gimbal and the drone frame. They reduce vibration and help keep the camera stable during flight. Use tweezers in your fingers to gently roll the rubber lip out of the mounting slot. Remove each damper one by one while keeping the gimbal supported. After removal, inspect the dampers carefully. If any damper is torn, stretched, hardened, or deformed after a crash, it should be replaced. Damaged gimbal dampers can cause camera vibration, shaky footage, gimbal instability, or gimbal calibration problems. I've included a link to replacement gimbal rubber dampers for the DJI Mini 5 Pro in the video description below. Replacing the rubber dampers does not require calibration, but after reassembly, I recommend running gimbal auto calibration in the DJI Fly app, and checking that the gimbal moves freely. If your DJI Mini 5 Pro also has other gimbal problems after a crash, For example, the camera is stuck, tilted, shaking, not stabilizing, has no image transmission, or shows errors such as gimbal motor overloaded, gimbal calibration error, or gimbal IMU data error. Check my separate gimbal repair guide. In that video, I show how to fully disassemble the gimbal camera assembly and replace its internal parts. I'll add a link to the detailed gimbal repair guide in the video description below. But for now, let's get back to installing the new rubber dampers. The upper gimbal mounts have marks indicating their position. Be sure to install them in their correct place. Insert each damper into its mounting slot and gently pull the rubber lip into place. Do not use sharp tools because the dampers can tear easily. After all dampers are installed, check the full gimbal movement by hand. Now install the gimbal camera assembly back onto the drone frame. First, route the gimbal signal cable along the cable guide on the gimbal mount. Lift the upper front sensing module slightly, place the gimbal into the middle frame, and guide the gimbal signal cable through the correct opening. Once the gimbal is seated, secure the upper gimbal mounts with the 2 screws. Then route the gimbal signal cable to the core board and connect it. Secure the gimbal signal cable to the drone frame with a small amount of adhesive. Now place the upper front sensing module back into position and secure it with the 2 screws. Turn the drone over and seat the rubber dampers into the middle frame. Be careful not to puncture or tear them with tweezers. Before continuing, make sure the gimbal moves freely and the signal cable is not twisted, pinched, or stretched. Put the side button back in place and check for smooth pressing. Next, install the lower cover. Place the lower cover onto the drone body and make sure the latches on the bottom cover are not bent and correctly positioned. Do not force the cover if it does not sit flat. Once everything is aligned, install the lower cover screws. Install the metal bracket over the gimbal signal cable and secure it with a screw. Now install the upper cover. Before closing the top cover, connect the antenna cable from the upper shell and secure it with adhesive. Make sure the antenna connector is fully seated and secured. Then place the upper cover onto the drone body and gently press around the edges to snap the clips into place. Do not force the cover if one side does not close properly. Check for misaligned clips and make sure the latches on the upper cover are not bent. Finally, install the 4 top cover screws. Now the drone is ready for the first test power on. Insert the battery and power on the drone. Confirm that the camera image appears and run gimbal auto calibration in the DJI Fly app and check that the gimbal completes its startup self-check normally. If you have any questions about gimbal calibration, please feel free to ask them in the comments. If you found this guide helpful, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more tech tips and guides. Visit our website for more insights and do-it-yourself guides. Remember, every tech challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. Thanks for watching How-FixIT, and we'll see you in the next one.